Howdy, y'all. Haven't flown in about 3 or 4 weeks, but I do have a cross country that I think the weather is going to support very well, and I will be sharing that with you hopefully sometime in the next week or two. I do have an old video. It's a couple years old, and I was going through cleaning out a bunch of my old footage and found this. This was a flight where I almost quit paramotoring afterwards. I was flying against the way that I was instructed, and I almost paid a very heavy price. So, not going to gild the lily too much more. Let's watch a video. In my mind, this was going to be a very uneventful flight. I was testing out putting a dead cat on my microphone on my helmet, and that didn't turn out very well. My camera on my ear, which I now mounted on top, was dead. The battery was dead. And I was also testing out the 360 camera mount that I had actually on my leg at the time, which I've also moved that now. And you can see my old training field. It looks like lunar craters out there. It was full of gopher holes. In fact is, I actually broke my ankle when I first started in one of those gopher holes. So I learned to always walk my takeoff path. If you ever fly with me, you'll think it's funny because I always like walk out in front of my paramotor and talk about how I'm going to launch and where I'm going to turn. And a lot of that is because of breaking my ankle. I realized that it's a good idea to make sure there's nothing weird in front of you. Check this giant flock of geese on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Doesn't really fit, but it's kind of cool. I mean, there were just trillions of geese the year that I took this. So now I get into the meat and potatoes of the crash. You can see here that I'm going against the wind. I'm doing 23 miles an hour here, and if I turn a little bit to the right, you'll see that I'll drop down to 15 miles an hour. The problem is I'm coming at this approach back over the road where there is a playa lake that's going to be to my right that is actually into the wind. So I'm too low, and I'm putting myself where my only out would be to turn to the right into that playa lake into electric lines. And this is really just a terrible mistake. So obviously I didn't know what was going to happen, but it doesn't matter. You should always expect that you're going to have an engine out. And so I turned back in, flying over the water, and then it happens. Did you see that? That would be my 1-month-old Fitterazzi starter getting punted by my brand new propeller. So as I come to the realization that my brakes are going to do precious little for me, I kind of do the only thing that's left to do. I curl into a ball and pray. I think at this time, anybody is doing the exact same thing I do. Wiggle toes, wiggle feet, make sure there's no spinal injury. And miraculously enough, I stand up and I'm totally uninjured. Not a sprained ankle, not any whiplash, nothing. Not even hurt, even a little bit.
What could have hit it? There was nothing there.
My first thought here was to blame the stroke.
There was nothing. Oh my God, this fucking thing.
If you're wondering what the limit to my patience is, you just found it.
I checked it. Looks good. Please. I mean, I had an out. I wanted to turn back in and land in the bush. The wind's kind of died down, so I was like, well, I'm not going to take my out into the wind. I'll take it with it. And that was probably a decision just because, so I knew the center rate I was at.
So you know how sometimes when things go bad, it puts you in a bad state of mind? Well, I'm going to ball up my wing here, and my camera comes off inside the leading edge of the wing, and I lose it, and I have to look for it for almost 10 minutes. And I'm just losing patience, and I'm frustrated, and I'm cursing. This is probably one of the worst moments in paragliding and paramotoring I've ever had. And I landed in a tree once. So to say this is worse than that is saying something. I was just in a terrible frame of mind.
There it is! Damn thing fell into my wing! Gotta be joking me. Man, I believe that you make your own luck. But sometimes, yo, things just get real weird.
This definitely put a change of perspective on me and reinforced to respect my glide ratio and fly like my engine could stop at any time. It's one of the reasons why, if you watch some of my further videos, even when I do stupid stuff like crash in a river, I understand that if my engine goes out, I'm going to be okay. That's something that really had to be hammered home with me. I had spent hours going over my paramotor the night before. Everything was just absolutely perfect. Everything was perfectly clean. The problem is there's no way I could know that the starter was going to break. It's a good idea to always fly like you're flying a glider, and you're always going to have to be able to glide to some place safe. And you will see in all of the other videos I've made and all the other engine outs, it's never a problem. I have an engine out, I glide, I land. No problem. This instance is why all of my engine outs have been very non-eventful, other than long hikes in river scenarios. So thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.